Okay, so we will talk about function. What is function, guys? Any idea?
Like set of instructions
So functions are set of
which
instructions. Yes.
which help to like run the programs, like they are giving some instruction to that line to do so.
Correct. So function is nothing but some lines of code that we give it a name, right? So for example, let's say I talk about print how are you, okay, and I say print I am fine, print thank you. Okay, so these are lines of code, right? And by definition, what you said is the function is nothing but the name that we give to some set of instructions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function. Now, these three lines of code, let's say if you have to run it multiple number of times, let's say you have to run multiple number of times, okay, and uh, and it's not, see, if you have to run it at same place multiple number of times, you give a loop, right? If I have to run this 10 times, I'll put them in a for loop, right? And I give this three lines. But here you're not running continuously 10 times. You might use it someplace, then again, like for example, print is a function, okay? And when we say print thank you, it performs something, right? It prints thank you on the screen down there. But we don't use print continuously. As and when we can use it, right? So print is a name, okay, that is given to a function, and function is declared and defined, okay, in a different way, okay, and it might have one or two lines, okay, and these are called inbuilt functions because these functions are added with the prior installation of R, right? What we are going to learn today is how to create our own function. So what I want to do is I want to create something called as how are you. I'm going to create a function called how are you, and when you call that function how are you, these three statements should be printed. Okay, so let's look at the syntax. Syntax is the rule, right? The syntax is the rule that we need to follow to write a program. So here, if I, first thing is you give it a function name. So function name I said was how are you. Okay, so how are you is the function name that I want to give, and I say function, right? And this is how you define, okay? And these three lines of code should be inside this, okay? So look at this. Function name equal to the arrow less than hyphen arrow function. Function is the keyword which tells that, okay, this is a function. So function name equal to function simple bracket open and close. This is the syntax. This is how you define a function. This is how you define a function. And this is the function name. Okay. And of course, you can give whatever function name you want to give. It should make some sense, basically. Okay. So you say, how are you? It's a function name, and you define it as a equal to function. And we'll see what this bracket means. Okay. So here we are defining a simple function which prints three statements. Now, when I run it, okay, nothing will happen. Okay, because see, you have defined the function, but you are not calling it. Function like print is there, and just like print, we have so many other functions we discussed, right? The so all these functions are called, okay, only then they perform what they're supposed to perform. Defining doesn't mean it will be called, right? So what we have done, we have just defined. We are saying, okay, like, okay, this is how are you, okay? So so this is the function name that we have created, and equal to function. I've created a function name how are you, and I'm adding few content in it, right? And when I run it, as I told you, we have seen it, it's not going to it's not going to perform because we have defined it. We are saying you are Naushad, you are Sandeepan, right? Okay, so But if I call your name, well, then you will respond to me, right? This is like knowing. Okay, we are knowing that this is how are you function. Now when I say how are you, okay, bracket open and close. So function calling also you use bracket open and close. Definition also you put bracket open and close, and when you're calling it also you put bracket open and close. How are you? Now when I click how are you and click on run, so see these three lines are called, because function how are you is about printing these three lines, and it just printed three lines. I go here and again I run it. You see, you get how are you. You go there, you run it, you get how are you. So this is a function name which performs print of three statement, and this is what you get, right? So this is the use of function. Function is some statements you put them together, some logic you put together, okay, and that logic, okay, will be given a name, okay. So it's like you write it once, you define it once, but use it at multiple places multiple times, okay.
Okay.
Nashad?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, great. So okay, so this is
So one thing like in above, when we are running, so it's just running on a print. It is not doing anything.
we're not, so whatever you do inside, it's your logic, right? So you can put
No,
if your if logic,
like in
else
the
logic,
above
your
line.
for loop. Yes.
No, sir. From third to seventh, when I'm running the whole thing, so it is just running because of the print.
Okay. Okay.
But when we are using in a 9th line or a 12th line, so on that time it is directly taking the whole data and it is moving different areas.
No, I didn't get it. See, bracket you see here, bracket indicates what? This is inside this. Okay. So now if I ask you, Sandeepan, when I go to your home, I say, Sandeepan, give me a tea. Right? Now, how you go to kitchen, how you prepare your tea, that is not of my interest, right? What I expecting is that you serving me the tea, right? So how are you is like that tea, telling you give me the tea, right? So this is like I'm asking you, Sandeepan, give me tea. Sandeepan, give me tea. Now you go, you have a certain recipe in your mind to prepare tea, right? The way you prepare will different than how I prepare or how Nashad will prepare. Your recipe is in your mind. Okay, so you will go and you will do certain things. Okay, you will do certain things when you feel like preparing tea, right? You'll follow same recipe, right? Which in your mind, whether I come, Nashad comes, or you want to drink yourself, right? So you will go and prepare tea based on your interest, and you will make it and you will drink, right? So the recipe is given in this curly bracket, right? The recipe is given.
Yes, that thing I got.
Mhm.
That thing I got that point, but the thing is that you told like when you are running from 3rd to 7th, and when you're running, so that time you are not calling any function.
I'm not calling. So those three print statements are not executed. The print statements are not executed, isn't it?
But how then it is executed here? Like
Because I'm calling,
this
I'm
one.
telling you, Sandeepan, give me the tea. Then you will go and
No, if you remove that 9th line, before the 9th line, when we are running this thing, so we are getting 3 statements, right?
no, you're not getting any statement, right? That's what I'm
No,
telling you.
no. Just
See, you're not
remove the
getting it.
9th one.
I've removed the 9th one.
Okay, got it. Got it. Okay.
So yeah, recipe is in your mind. Okay, recipe is in your mind. You are not going to execute the recipe. Okay, so recipe is in your mind. Okay, and when I ask you, okay, somebody asks you or you feel like doing it, right? When you feel like doing it, that's when you will go and call it and execute it.
Okay, got it. Because I am confused on a print statement. So it will be print or not. So that is the thing I confused on it. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So it will not print. That's what we saw. It is not going to print. Okay, your recipe is in
Okay.
mind. Okay, what you're doing is in your mind. Okay, so this is another example. So when you go to a Xerox guy, okay, and you say, okay, this is my original copy. Get me two copies of this, two photocopies of this, right? You are interested in the output, whether that guy has which brand of machine is none of your business, right? Just a second.
Right.
Okay, so so when you go to this Xerox shop for photocopy, the machine you're not interested in the process, right? So when I'm calling here line number 9, I'm not interested how you are doing it. Okay, but if you are the guy, if you are you're setting up your photocopy shop, you have to, right, you need to plan everything, right? Which brand, where the power will come, and once you set up, then you can reuse many times. So that is like this. Setting up the shop is like your function. Once the shop is set up, then you are using it for your own work without any problem.
So it is something like a package.
It
There is a set
is
of instruction, just
okay.
use
So
that package and it will work.
package is collection of functions. Okay. So when you put
Okay.
multiple functions in one file, that file is called package. So package
Okay.
is a collection of functions. Okay. So when you have multiple functions,
Okay.
you give it, you put them in a package. Okay. So one of the popular string function is this, which I have selected, string R. It has a lot of functions which you can use it for performing operations on string, which we'll see later. Okay, sometime later.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So yes, this is how you do.
Okay.
Okay. Now this is a simple function, of course. So what I can do here is I can use it to find sum of two values. So I can say a equal to 5, b equal to 15, and I can say c equal to a plus b, and I'll say print c, right? So in this case, again, if I run it, of course, nothing will happen. And when I uncomment line number 10, when I run it, you see 20 is printed, right? So this is how you define a function and start using it. Okay, good. Now, the function generally will have a return type. Okay, now see here, it is printing C, which is okay, fine. But many job of creating function is to make it more generic. Okay, so we want it to be more generic. Okay, so now I may not want my requirement may not be there to print the output, right? I could be using it to print average or calculate average, or I'll be doing something else with this value. Okay, I don't want to print this, right? Now in that case, see, when you're writing a function, you're putting all the hard work, right? So just because you have print, people may not use your function, right? So our job is to make it generic. So what we'll do here is we will not use print. Okay, instead we will return the values to the main function. Okay, now in the main function you want to find average or you want to print it, you can print it also, right? But to make it more generic, okay, what I'll do is instead of doing print, I will say return. I'll say return, right? What does return do? Return will return that value. Which value? Okay, how does it know which value to return? Okay, so we will say here return C. Now when you run it, nothing happens because this is returning C, but you're not catching it. So what I'll do, I will say output equal to, now output will have the value. Now whether you perform AVG equal to output by 2, or or you print output, is up to you. Okay. So what we have done, now you see output is 20. Okay. So what I have done, I have calculated C, but I'm not printed it. I'm saying, okay, this is the value, you take it. Whatever you want to do, you do it with the main. In the main, I can print it, or I can find average, or I can do whatever, right? So functions generally will have return values. Not all functions will return values. If you do not want to return anything, then you don't need to give return values. But if you want to return something, okay, you say return and you give the value C. The C will be return, and then you can use that in the main. How to use C? You say output equal to. When I say output equal to, output will have the value C. Okay. Any questions so far on this?
Oh,
I don't understand the last question about return.
Okay. So let's see. Do you want to explain, Sandeepan, to Naushad? Let me see.
Yes. So the thing is that, let's say, because it's a user generic function. So if you wanted to go for the user generic way, so that above part is the part which we are giving an instruction to the function. Like these are the things we have to perform, but we don't want it to do the output. For giving the output, we are doing the below part where you are taking output as a function, which is how are you, that one. And after that, if you wanted to do the average, like total output divided by 2, that is the average, or if you wanted to do multiplication, you can do there. Whatever the function you wanted to run, you can do there. After that, you are just taking that output with a concatenation. So it is giving the total output. So this is how we are printing that thing. So it is like a modification version of the previous program. So is it okay, sir?
No? Okay. So I'm not sure. Did you understand earlier what we did before we started talking about return?
Yes, sir.
So what did function do?
Function to can if we take different want to make any things in a accumulated result, then we can make a function for make it easier. Function can make the result accumulated.
Okay. So some set of code, okay, you can give it a name. Okay.
Yes.
So now see, for example, R. When I say R subject, what does R subject means? When you told me that you want to learn R, right? You didn't tell me that
Yes.
I want to learn cat, I want to learn print, I want to learn paste, I want to learn matrices.
Yes, sir.
You didn't tell me those things. Why? Why did you say R? Want to learn R?
Because in our program, everything is inside
Exactly.
in this
Everything is
program.
covered. You don't have to tell me that I want to learn
Yes.
paste. I can tell you. See, you never told me to that. To do paste. So that's why. No, nothing like that. When you say R, okay, because what we have done is our program has some structure, okay. So when I say R program, it covers each of those things, isn't it? So similarly,
Yes, sir.
function is the name that we give, just like we have given our program to these things, just like that, function is the name that we give to those things. Now, what are those things? Those things, what is those things? Those things mean the logic that you are developing. Okay. Now, those things,
Yes,
of course, depending upon the logic, those things will change, right? In earlier versions, we had some print statement, and I call it as "How are you?" Now,
yes, sir.
I have some calculations, some mathematical operation. I'm calling it "How are you?" So this
Yes,
is
sir.
what I mean when I say those things. Those things means, okay, the logic that you put inside the function and give it a name. So I'm putting some logic inside the function and I'm giving it a name, that is how are you,
How are you?
right? So
Yes,
that's
sir.
what function is. Function is, okay. So just like we give ourselves name. Okay, why do you have a name? Why do I have a name? Right? You have a
Because
name,
yes,
I
sir.
have a name, so that is easy to call.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
Now, you didn't join. I told Sandeepan, can you ping Naushad? Right? If I didn't know your name, or if you didn't have your name, then it would have been very difficult to convey. It would have taken me, 10 minutes to tell him what I meant, isn't it? Okay.
Sir.
So the reason is that we all have names. Okay. We all have
Yes.
names so that we can refer to each individual. Just like that,
Yeah.
logics have some name. Each logic has a name. Okay. And so now if we are meeting in a party, let's say, and let's say we never plan to meet, in that case I don't need to your name, correct? If you're doing it only
Yes,
one
sir.
time, if let's say we just see each other, you don't go and ask everybody's name on the road, right?
No, sir.
Right? Because you will
Yes,
see,
sir.
then probably you'll never see again. So there's no point asking for name, to everybody. But when you are probably thinking that okay, you might meet that person again, you might have to call that person. Okay, that's when you ask for name.
Yes, sir.
So here, these lines of statement, probably I'll not use it again. So I have not given it a name. But these, I want to use it again in future. So that's why I want to give it a name. And how do
Yes,
you give
sir.
a name? You give a name using name equal to function. Name equal to function is the way you give name to a function,
Yes, sir.
right? It is clear?
Right. Yes, clear.
Okay, great. Now, okay, now what we do
Yes,
is,
sir. Okay.
right, now what we'll do is, we will, we'll talk about a function type. Okay, so what we discussed earlier was also function. Function can have different logic. One logic is you write a return value here. Okay, so what does return do? Return is like, okay, saying, okay, you have called me, I'll give you something. For example, this is an example where you go to a shop is selling, let's say, apples. So when you
Yes,
want to
sir.
buy, so the shop will give, so shop has all the apples, right? Okay, shop has,
Yes,
let's
sir.
say, fruit shop, so apple, orange, everything they have. Now when you buy apple, the shop will give you in a bag saying, here is your apple, whatever money you paid, here is your apple, you take it home. So this is
Yes,
you,
sir.
this is you, okay, this is you, and you are
Okay.
here calling the shop. It's the shop, so you're calling the shop,
Yes,
and
sir.
the shop is giving you bag full of apples. Now you
Yes,
can
sir.
get it to your home and you can use it in your home. You can't, access what is there inside. This is shop, you can't access everything. You can't,
No.
use their light, fan, AC, whatever. But
Yes, sir.
whatever they are giving you, that you can use it. So
Yes, sir.
C is what shop is returning and you're catching using output. So these variables need not be same. Function is saying here, take this apple, take C. So return C is like
Yes.
throwing, take this C. And this output equal to function name is like, okay, this is the bag. You're saying, okay, whatever you throw, I will catch it. And it will
Okay.
be caught in the output.
Yes, sir.
So return is throwing the value and you're catching the value with the bag.
Yes, sir.
Right? With the bag here.
Yes, sir. Right.
The output is the bag.
Yes, sir.
Output is the
Bag.
bag.
Yes.
Right? And what else?
Right. And the value of the apple.
Mm-hmm.
What's in the bag? That's the output.
right? Okay, so see that is okay.
Yes,
But how are you getting the value in the bag?
because
Bag is output,
in
right? How are you getting the value in the bag?
yeah, I identified that to put apple return when we see that in return C.
Mhm.
In function, I already mentioned that what I have to be need to be given.
Right? Right? Did you get it now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Did you get it? What it is?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? Okay. So this is a function which is returned. Sandeepan, you're okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first time we discussed about a function, okay, which did not use return value. Okay. Second time we are talking about a function which is giving return value. So difference you can know. Okay. If you don't have to pass, let's say you're going to a restaurant and you want to eat your food in the restaurant, then you don't get anything in the package. Okay. So bad example, but we'll discuss later a few examples to see what I mean. But you can have a function which does not return value. You can have a function which returns value, right? So this is an example where you're returning the value to the main. So C, okay, is displayed, or sorry, not displayed here. C is returned to the main function. Now, whatever you do, it's in your hand. You want to display it, you want to perform average, or whatever you do it here. Earlier example, when we did print C, it is like eating in the restaurant. You are not getting it home. Okay, so I am saying print C. I'm saying print the value on the screen here. Now this does not have return. It is displaying the final output on the screen. Okay, so now whether to use return or not is up to you. Okay, depending upon your logic, it is up to you the way you want to use it. But mostly we try to put return. Okay, because return value makes it more generic. Okay, so this is the second type. Third type is when function also expects something you to pass. Okay, so when you go to photocopy shop, you cannot say give me one photocopy. Of course, when you go to Apple shop, you can tell me give me a kg of apple, right? When you go to a restaurant, you can tell
Yes,
me
sir.
give me biryani. But when you go to photocopy shop, you cannot say give me one photocopy. You say take this original copy and give me a photocopy of this. So there's a situation when you have to pass the value to function. Okay, so what we're doing here in cat, we are passing, these are called arguments. We are passing the argument. Whatever you pass, that is getting printed here. Okay, so these are called arguments. Okay, now here in our function, it is not taking any argument. Okay, so instead of giving a equal to b and no, sorry, a equal to 5 and b equal to 15, I can say here a comma b. Okay, and here in the main I can say a equal to 10, sorry, a equal to 10, b equal to 30. And see, function takes a and b, function takes two parameters. I will say a comma b here. Yeah, and now you see when I run it, okay, b not found. Why b is not found? Oh, see, this is a mistake. This mistake you should catch, guys. Okay, so now you see answer is 40. So what happened here? I'm not creating a and b here. I'm expecting the user to give me the value a and b. I'm expecting the user to give me. How do you get it? So when you're calling the function, you pass these are called arguments. So I'm passing the arguments to the function. Okay, so this is the third type of function we are talking about. Okay, function without return or without argument. Second was without arguments with return. Third type here, of course, is without return and with arguments. And fourth type can be both return and argument, right? So this is called argument. So you are passing the value a and b to the function. Okay, from main, you're passing it to a and b. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the third type where we are passing the argument to the function. Okay. So this is how functions work. Now what I want you to do is, okay, I want you to write a function for me. Write a function that takes two values and calculate some difference product division. Okay, that takes two values and calculates some difference product division and return all the four answers as a vector type. So you have to use both input arguments and return. Input will take a and b, and then you will see sum equal to a plus b, diff equal to a minus b, mult equal to a into b, div equal to a by b, and then you have to create a vector answer equal to c of sum comma diff comma mult comma div, and then you return it and you print it here in the main. Did you get the problem?
Yes, I mean, you have to print it as a vector, right?
Yes, you can print it as a vector for now. When we work about when we go into vector, we will see how to manipulate numbers within the vector. But for now, just print it as a vector. Nashada, did you understand the question?
Yes, sir.
Try, and
Yes.
we'll see you in 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to end this. Stop this, and we'll connect it in 5 minutes.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so let's try to solve it. So we'll give the function name as calculator or something, right? Calculator or my calculator, something like that. Okay, up to you, whatever you want to give. So call it my calculator. I have to say it is a function, so equal to function and define the two input, right? A comma B, right? And I will open the bracket and I'll put my logic here. So logic here was sum equal to A plus B, diff equal to A minus B, mul equal to A into B, and div equal to A by B, right? So these are the four values. Now I need to create a vector, right? So I'm going to say answers or something like that equal to C of, and I'll say sum comma diff comma mul comma div. Okay, so now after the answer is ready, we will say return answers. Okay, so this is your function. Your function is ready. Now how do we call it? So we'll call it as say output equal to my calculator, and I'll pass here 100 comma 300, let's say, and I'll say cat solution is, and I'll say output, right? So now when I run it, the solution, okay, so since we are using cat here, right, so the two statement got clubbed together, so I'll say /n. So now when you run it, so you see solution is 400, so 100 plus 300, sum is 400, 100 minus 300 is minus 200, so minus 200, 3000 and 0.333. Okay, this is how you can create a function and start using it. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. I missed that
Yes, sir.
one
Yes.
answer line.
Okay, sure. So now what I want to do is we'll end it here for the day. I want you to do at least 2 programs for tomorrow. Okay. In fact, you can take any program that you have done before and put it in a function format. So we did discuss about guess the number game, right?
Yes,
Alright,
sir.
sir.
Right. So in guess the number game, the logic which we are we are checking the value, right? So use checking the value if they are equal. If they are equal, convert that into a function. Okay, so basically your function will be, so your function should have take 2 values a comma b and return, let's say, return -1 if a is less than b. Okay, return 0 if they are equal, and return 1 if a is greater than b. Okay, so write a function which will take 2 values, okay, check which is greater and return. So when you read the output value, so by looking at the output value, you will know if you get -1, then you know that a is smaller. Okay, when you get +1, you know that a is greater. When you get 0, it means that both are equal. Will you do that?
Okay.
Right,
So
sir.
in that case, we have to enter by ourselves, or we have to put the computer that
No,
it will
function
give
will
by a
take 2
computer.
input, right? So okay, so the main you can do whatever. So, okay, so instead of computer, you do on your own. Okay, you don't have to use random. You can use your own values to do it. Okay, don't use don't use random. You can give your own both the values. Okay, because main focus is on this function. How to write function, not how will you use it. Okay, so yeah, so there's no restriction. You can use whatever way you want to.
Okay, sir.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll end it here for the day. You have a good evening, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow,
Thank you,
most
sir.
probably at the same time. Okay.
Okay, thank you,
Okay,
sir.
sure, sir.
Then I'll let you know. It will be just half an hour plus or minus. I'll let you know. Okay.
Okay, okay, sir.
Okay then. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
Right,
Bye.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Good night.